opening message from our keynote speaker, Joshua V. Barr, Esquire. And as you can see in your program, Joshua is a Emmy and National Award-winning transformational leader from South Carolina with an MBA and a doctorate who has trained people on human rights, diversity, equity, and inclusion issues for all 50 states and 6 continents. And from 2010 to 2012, Joshua worked in Colombia, South America, conducting investigations on institutional corruption and leading the English language immersion program of Javaland University. Javeriana University, thank you. You know, he became the director of the Des Moines Civil Rights Commission, where he transformed the department on the verge of being shut down a year earlier to an integral part of the Des Moines municipal government. And I can go on and on about this young man. And so without further ado, please show your love and Ames welcome for Joshua V. Barr.
All right, all right. How's everybody doing? All right, how was the food? All right, that's good. The vegans, where y'all at? All right, me too. So I'm a vegan. So it's good to be here. Normally when I do keynotes at banquets, usually I tell them, hold my food, because usually you don't want to spill nothing on you. But then I look at it, I'm the last thing that's stopping y'all from leaving. So I'm like, all right, so I'll actually try to be as brief as possible, but delivering you a message that you can take home with you, both in your hearts and in your practice and what you do. First of all, I just want to say to the Mistress of Ceremonies, thank you very much for this invitation to be here tonight. I truly appreciate it. So special thank you to Vanessa Baker Latimer for inviting me. I really appreciate that. And I also want to say to the outgoing NAACP president, Edna Clinton, I met her at an event, I believe it was in 2016. And at that event, that was actually one of my earliest speaking events in Iowa, actually. So I've kind of come full circle, both as the director of the Des Moines Civil and Human Rights Commission, and now embarking out on my own doing Raising the Bar. But at that event, it was a Race Talks event at the Ames Library. And she saw me speak, and she was like, we're going to get you to come and do the Freedom Banquet. She said, we're going to get you. That was 2016. And so every time I run into her occasionally, she shoot me an email, oh, not this year, not this year. I was like, okay, all right. Okay, so it wouldn't happen. And then finally, I win an Emmy, and I get the invite. So I'm going to actually go back and look in time and see who the other people were. Did they win Grammys, Emmys, Tonys? Like, what's special? Why suddenly you win an Emmy? And I was like, oh, hey, you get the invite. All right. So all jokes aside, but I really appreciate that, and I'm really happy to be. Now, how many of y'all are really happy to be doing some in-person events now? How many people? Yeah, it's good. It's good to be back outside. Good to be back outside. Hello to the people on camera. My mother's watching. Hi. So it's good to be back. We made it through Omicron. I remember Vanessa and I had a few. I don't know if we're going to do it. Omicron, but we made it. And I was actually just talking to some health professionals yesterday. We actually had a very low death rate with Omicron. We were actually one of the best states in that regard. So it's great to be back in person, because there is nothing like good old-fashioned face-to-face communication. And so for you people in the dating world, you can now get off Tinder and Bumble, et cetera. I don't know what y'all doing now. I'm out of the dating game. But, you know, I have to say, though, although it's good to be back in person and knowing what good old-fashioned face-to-face interaction is like, also know what it's like to be sick. In November of last year, I finally got COVID. I had been fighting COVID and trying to beat it, as an introvert. When they were like, you people have to practice social distance and stay inside. I've been waiting for this my whole life. Yes. And so I was really excited. I mean, I love just being me and my books, just me and my books. And so I was really excited. I really practiced a lot of social distancing. I always kept my distance. Now, sometimes it was difficult because when the pandemic first started, I was outside one time and I was walking through the park and this white woman just went the other. I was like, oh, wait, COVID. No, never mind. So I hope it was. But it was. I really practiced it. But in November, I slipped up, and I got too confident. I got too cocky, and all of a sudden, I got invited to do a keynote in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. And when I went to Myrtle Beach, I left my supplements. All the things Joe Rogan talked about, just playing. But But I left my supplements. I actually left I only had one mask with me. And I went to do this keynote. And after the keynote, people wanted to come up, take photos. And I just did that. And I'm not saying this to discourage in case you want to do photos with me afterwards. Man, I got to go home. I don't want to take no photo with you. But I did a lot of interactions. And then a few days later, you felt that tingle in your throat. It was, oh, Lord, not me, not me. But I got sick, and typically, at first I didn't know it was COVID. I thought it was maybe I got a cold. So I have a whole regimen that my mother taught me as a young kid, nothing but hot soup, hot tea, vitamin C, and NyQuil. And I did that. And for a day, I actually felt better. And then I went out and hung out, and then I got sick again. And this time, it wouldn't go away. The regimen wasn't working. I was, when you eat soup and tea and juice, you in the bathroom all the time, a lot of liquid. And it wouldn't go away. And so I finally said, something's not right because I'm actually not a very sickly person, except for when I need to use my sick days. And so I finally got tested, and it turns out that I had COVID. And so for 2 weeks, I am actually battling COVID. And it was funny because, they just said, you got COVID. I was like, okay, what am I supposed to do next? Well, just go home, and if you can't breathe, go to the hospital. Like, that's it? What if I got a fever? Oh, well, yeah, I guess you can take some Tylenol. And what if I got a cold? Well, I guess you could take some NyQuil. And I said, can I speak to somebody else? And it turns out that I spoke to them, and they were literally just speaking to the same person. And the lady's like, look, this whole thing is new to us. We don't really know. We trying to play it. We're trying to figure this out, just like you, sir. I was like, I'm not a medical professional, but even after I got well, I actually had to deal with post-COVID fatigue for 2 weeks. And I'm a go-getter. I don't like to stay on the move. I like to stay on the move. And I got up one day, I said, I feel good. And then my energy as soon as I hit the floor, my energy just went. And I stayed in bed for another 2 weeks because I wanted to truly get well. And I really wanted to get well and do the things necessary to fortify my body so I can continue to fight and not get sick again. And so I'm sharing that story to say that what happened or what originated in Wuhan, China, can always come knocking at your door if you get too cocky, if you get too confident, if you suddenly think that you are impervious to the effects of things happening somewhere else in the world. What do I mean? So right now, there's so many news reports about the breakdowns in our society, about the arguing over masks in schools, about arguing over the curriculum being taught in schools, even banning books, like we back in Salem or something. Engagement and protest in school board meetings and city council meetings, and even protest at state and federal Capitol buildings. Those are happening in every part of the country. And we can't be foolish enough to believe that Ames, Iowa is immune to those things happening right here. Because I've seen some of the news reports about the school board meetings here. I'm from Iowa, from Des Moines, so I'm right down the street. we can't get comfortable. Even during the civil rights movement, it originated in the South. But as things started to get better in the South, it moved up north. It even found its way to Detroit, a riot in Detroit, riots in Newark. It even found its way all the way to Watts, California. Now, some people actually never were involved in the movement. Actually, most people weren't. And some people, even people of African descent, actually just saw it from their TV screen. But we're dealing with a different kind of division today. Now, yes, we're still dealing with the division of race. America, if you actually discombobulate it, it spells I am race. Go ahead and play with it just in case you don't. We can't, race is in the DNA of our country. It's even in the spelling. You can't even spell America without I am race. Try it later. But at the same time, we're dealing with a different kind, and it's even more dangerous. We're dealing with a division based on the way you think, your political ideology, who you with, blood or Republican or Democrat. Sorry, wrong group. So even if you live in a small town and all European or white town, you can't run away from this, because now it's about who are you with. And if you're not with me, you are against me. No two people think exactly alike on any issue. Now, how many of y'all have brothers and sisters and y'all grew up in the same house with the same parents? Show of hands. Show of hands. All right. Now, keep those hands up. Keep the hands up for a moment. Now, how many of y'all are just like all your brothers and sisters? Okay. So even if you're in the same house, same parents, I got the 5 of us, I'm the 3rd child, and for once I'm not wearing hand-me-downs because I had 2 older brothers. But even if we grew up in the same house and the same 2 parents, we are all in some way uniquely different. We have different needs, we have different wants, we like different food. So I think everybody in my house used to like fried chicken. But I'm the vegan now, so I can't eat that. So now I'm like black sheep. Oh, you can't eat wheat. You don't like macaroni and cheese. What macaroni and cheese ever did to you? Nah, never mind. All right. So, but my point is, every single one of us has differences, even from people we grew up in the same house with. So what do we do in a polarized world where the lines are being drawn based on who you politically identify with and what news channel you watch? So before I give you the answer, I want to give another example. In case you didn't know, in case I haven't said it enough, I am from the South. I am from South Carolina, to be exact. I am of African descent. My father's side of the family was enslaved in Williamsburg County, South Carolina, Kingstree to be exact. My mother's side of the family comes from Kershaw County, and they were enslaved in Heath Springs. I hope I got that right, Mama, if you're watching. But in black communities in the South, we have this belief, and maybe it's up here too, because I know most people from here, either from Mississippi, Chicago, if you look like me. But in the South, we have this belief that if you ignore a problem and don't go see a doctor about it, you won't get ill and die. Anybody heard of that? Yeah, I see some people laughing. So I literally have an uncle that's going through this right now. He called me today. You want to see? Nah, I can't see a doctor. I mean, he's sick, like literally sick, but refuses to see a doctor. We have this belief that when you find out you have a condition and you suddenly get ill, lose a lot of weight, people say, see, that's because you went to see the doctor. See, that's because you knew. See, you don't die if you won't get sick if you actually don't go to the doctor. There is a belief that the sickness is in knowing, not the actual disease itself. That somehow, if we talk about it, it's going to affect us. That it's going to kill us. But what they don't realize is ignoring the issue, the disease is eating you up anyway. And that it's only in the acknowledging of the condition, having a discussion about the problem as soon as possible. And men, we have that issue too. I broke my arm recently, and I actually went to the doctor the same day. Man, most guys don't come in. Like, hey, I'm proud of you. Well, thank you. So I'm trying to be better. Because it was like a hairline. It just hurt me. He's like, oh, most guys. And the doctor said, yeah, I just broke my finger a few weeks ago, and it took me like 2 weeks. Like, yes. So, but it's only in the acknowledging. It's only in having a discussion about the problem as soon as possible and making a decision to truly change that can possibly save your life. So here you have two examples. One where people are overly cocky and confident, believing it can't happen to them. And then the other one where you can be willfully ignorant, trying to ignore the issues that are affecting you, believing that if you ignore it, it will just go away. Both are examples of things you should not do. It is time for us in this country, in this state, in this county, and right here in Ames, to neither be cocky, hubristic, nor should we believe that we could ignore the issues that are pounding at our door, but rather we should face them head on in a determined yet civilized manner to say, we will be different. We will be different. We are not going to buy into the hubris that we are exceptional. And we aren't going to play the ignorance game, but rather we're going to be honest about where we are, who we are, where we want to go, and make a plan to get there. Because in case you didn't know it, our society is just another term for house. America, the United States of America, is the house that we live in. Ames, Iowa is the house that we live in. This is our society, the community that we live in. And in this house, everyone has different needs and wants. And some of us, but we also have things in common. The basic needs that we all need: food, clothes, shelter, appreciation. In a real family, when someone is being affected, you have a young person, a teenager that's going through something, you have to address it because it doesn't just affect that person, it affects the entire family. And that's the way a society works too. You think that, that's just them over there. But it quietly comes, sometimes loudly comes, right at your door. So in this house that we live in, we have to sit down and develop a plan on where we want to be, who we want to be, and how do we get there. We have to eat together like we're doing right now. We have to talk and have strong family discussion to build a stronger society. You cannot build a house by yourself. Ask any contractor. You need multiple people putting in the work. But you also can't build a family by yourself. If only one person's carrying the weight, the other person, hey, man, I'm out. Hey, this is too much. Eventually it'll happen. Trust me, I know. It takes a team of people to construct the home or the house that we envision. It takes all of us in this community to construct the society we'd like to see. So in the great words of the great civil rights leader Diana Ross, do you know where you're going to? Do you like the things that life is showing you? Where are you going to? Do you know? Do you know, Ames, Iowa? Do you know? Now, some people might be saying, Joshua, you're selling me nothing but a pipe dream. This is not possible. We are just, we can't eat together and have these discussions. But I'm here today to tell you it is possible. And it's possible because I've actually done it, literally done it. When I was the director of civil and human rights in Des Moines, Iowa, when I first got there, they would have these town halls where people would come and yell at the elected representatives or the police and have some cathartic experience where they feeling good. That was a good meeting, but nothing would change. And community members would come in with swords and political leaders and police come in with shields ready to defend themselves. and nothing really changed. But people, they felt good. And I thought this was the most insane or asinine thing I'd ever seen. Because they were like, Joshua, we want you to come up, be a part of this town. Nah, I'm good. Now, I normally wouldn't get yelled at, but I just saw no real point. What are we trying to do here? What is the goal? In any relationship, you have to understand, what is our goal here, even in a friendship? Because sometimes your friend will take advantage of you, you know? You got that friend, hey, man, let me get $5. Man, did you get $5 last week? What is the goal here? Why are we friends? What is our goal? What are we trying to do? And so I'm not trying to sell. We had all these town halls. And I thought I was in the twilight zone, to be honest. So I decided I was going to do something different. I decided that we need to be more daring and that there was a better way to engage with the community. So being trained up in deliberative dialogues, I approached our mayor and our city manager about, hey, let's have some community dialogues. Now, they didn't know what that was. So I had to spend 2 years trying to show them what it was because they just kept doing the town halls. And it wasn't working. Finally, like, man, did you have an idea? Yeah, I had it. I'm ready. I was already ready. Like, let's just do that because this ain't working. Like, hallelujah. I don't want to do this no more. And so in these town halls, in these deliberative dialogues, we had people come together from all walks of life. We had people from elected leaders from both city, county, school board, and state in the area. But we also had influencers, the police officers who were on the beat. We had decision makers, such as the city manager and people in various sectors, both in the Chamber of Commerce as well as different departments in the city and county, as well as teachers and other people who influence the ultimate decision makers to be a part of that discussion. We had youth that participated in every single discussion. We had advocacy groups such as the NAACP and other agencies such as the ACLU participate in these discussions. And we had just everyday working people that were a part of these discussions. Now, we didn't just talk. You know, I believe that you got to have action if you want satisfaction, because you can't even spell satisfaction without action. And we had discussions, small group dialogues around the city on what we wanted to see for our city. Where do we want to go? And we were able to receive a number of thoughts and ideas, hundreds of thoughts and ideas from community members on what they wanted to see. And from that discussion, we were able to develop 9 concept policies on what we wanted to do. And instead of just giving that off to city council, Mr. Mayor, we decided to bring it right back to the community. Is this what you wanted to see? Is this what you wanted to see? That continual engagement. And they actually had to vote on their top 3 items. Now, of course, they were like, well, I like all 9. Well, so now you know what it's like to be in a position of leadership. You can't do everything at the same time. Because they either complain from the back. But when you actually got to make those decisions, it's a little different. And so we were able to change some laws. And change some policies and practice. And I have to talk about that because a lot of times when we talk about making change, you know, some people, especially after George Floyd, we're going to kneel. Well, what you going to do after that? Well, I'm going to get up. No. What you? No. What actual policies or practices are you going to put into place to ensure that things like this don't happen in your community? Because just in case you didn't know, I know we say we live in a democracy, but we actually live in a republic. You say, you know, we're a republic, and republic means rule of people. And in case you don't know, in the United States, you don't say to the democracy for which it stands, just in case, what are you talking about? You say to the republic for which it stands. So we're a democratic republic. And in a democratic republic, you actually have rule of law, and we actually have to make laws. And just in case you didn't know, we're also a capitalistic society. So we also have to do things in regards to economics, improving economic conditions for people. So the policies and practices that we worked on and that we tried to implement were policies that would improve your housing opportunity, that would give grants to organizations that were trying to help people move up the socioeconomic ladder. We call that upskilling, helping people to move up. And we also decided that to build that understanding, we also wanted to do something where we change the hearts and minds of people. Because just in case you didn't know, justice can't be served cold, because the people that are receiving that justice don't feel anything. Justice can never be served cold. But justice also can't be served too hot, because if it's too hot and it burns the community that thinks that they're being slighted, they're going to come back for some revenge. Justice has to be served warm, where everybody receives a benefit from that warmth. And so one of the things that we strive to do, again, was to implement policies and practices that impacted some groups more than others, of course, but everyone could benefit from it. My example, one of the things we did was improve, source of income as a protected class, saying that you cannot discriminate against people based on the income that they receive, whether that is Social Security disability, veterans benefits, or even Section 8. So who benefits? Grandma benefits, your disabled friend, neighbor, brother, cousin, sister benefits, the person that fought for this country, and yes, people of a lower socioeconomic status. It's one of the things that we were able to do. Another thing we were able to do was to create a grant to give back to communities, again, that were trying to upskill communities. And recently, we even did the Fair Chance Ordinance that says that you cannot check a person's background until they're actually being considered for the job or housing. That's something we recently passed. Now, why is that important? Because if you just judge somebody on the front end, rather than actually getting to know somebody, you know, swipe left versus swipe right, just in case you catch my drift, you don't really get to understand people. And so we strive to make sure that you have an understanding, and especially in this day and time where we actually have the great resignation, where people are not accepting jobs, or people are leaving their jobs, me being one of them, you actually have an employment gap. And you know who can fill that employment gap? People who have been previously incarcerated have served their debt to society. So you got to be thinking holistically. They don't just benefit, the business benefits. So some maybe, we're closed today because we don't have enough employees. Well, maybe you should start looking deeper into who you hire. Now, but we didn't just do that. We actually said, again, we got to change the hearts and minds. So we implemented another thing entitled Breaking Bread, Building Bridges. And Breaking Bread, Building Bridges is all about matching people up based on their differences to have dinner over the course of a few months to see if they could find common ground and see the humanity in others. Now, we had a number of people that wanted to do it, hundreds of people, but we actually, shrunk the group down to about 40, and then we did a documentary on it, and shot it. It's on YouTube. You can watch it. And we were able to present that back out to the community to demonstrate we're bigger than our differences. We have more in common than we think. Don't dehumanize people in the community. We match officers up with persons who had felony convictions. We had judges matched up with advocates. We had lesbians matched up with conservative preachers. We had conservatives matched up with liberals, and people matched up based on race. And the vast majority were able to say, I've learned something, not just about this person, but more so something about myself. And so those are things that we strive to do. And you might say, well, how's it going? Well, unfortunately, old habits die hard. And again, as I stated before I started talking about some of the things that we did, it was more of a town hall, shields and swords kind of community. And traumatic times reveal who you really are, and sometimes they cause you to go back to what's comfortable, even if what's comfortable isn't good for you. Y'all know what I'm talking about. Go back to that one person. Ain't no good for you, but I know it. Better the devil you know it, that's what they say. But we went back, and all of a sudden it got polarized after the George Floyd murder. And people went back into their corners. And unfortunately, again, I had to fight for 2 years to even get dialogues off the ground. And by the time we got going, and even though we saw results, getting roses from the Des Moines Register, getting 20 policies and practices changed around the city, they fell back into us versus them. Everybody went back to their corners, and no one was willing to talk and engage as much anymore. Now, I'm giving you that example just to demonstrate that change is only going to be systemic and long-lasting if you're willing to put the work in, even during the hard times. Al Green said, whether times are good or bad, happy or sad. And even my father, who recently passed away, he couldn't let go of certain habits. He had a heart attack one day, and he had to get quadruple bypass surgery. And I remember after the surgery, I'm sitting there watching the doctor say, "Sir, you can no longer eat this, and you can no longer eat that, and you can no longer eat this." And I'm taking copious notes. Like, okay, all right. So why did they give us this food anyway? That was my first question myself. And that was years ago. I didn't become a vegan until probably about 10 years later. But my father couldn't let go. He couldn't let go. He had been so accustomed to that fried chicken and those fried foods that he could not let go of that. But slowly, by him continuing to consume those things, he had a stroke. And that stroke put him in a nursing home. And even then, when I go see him, "Man, go give me some chicken." "Daddy, no, I'm not doing this. I am not doing it. I'm not going to be the one." My sister, "I get it." It's always that one person that want to keep you in. You always want that one person that don't want to see you excel. Hey, it's good for them. Make them happy. Sometimes what make you happy ain't good for you. Let's just make sure we're clear on that. And a lot of times when we try to change, the system wants to stay intact. It so violently wants to stay that it tries to pull you back in, even when there are signs that are saying it's time to change. And right now, we're at a point where the world is telling us, and society is telling us, that we need to make some changes, that our society and our planet are ill, and that if we don't make some drastic changes, it's only going to get worse. When people are storming the Capitol steps in Oregon and Michigan, it actually happened in Oregon and Michigan before it happened in D.C., if you actually paid attention. And then it happened in D.C. That's a warning sign. And we can't get cocky and say, they were just on vacation. They were tourists. We have to, why did this happen? How do we prevent this from happening again? How do we save our republic? I got to make sure I keep saying republic. That's a warning sign. When you're constantly bickering and battling in school board and city council meetings, and we can't seem to agree on anything regarding the health of our communities, the education of our children, that's a sign. And we can't ignore it, nor can we be cocky and believe that we are immune to what's happening, that it won't happen here in Ames, Iowa, or that it won't happen again. Just in case, sorry, it won't happen again, it won't happen again. So what can we do to boost our society when it seems to be so ill and deprived of civility, decency, and people who want to see our communities progress, not regress? What can we do to get better and stay better? Well, to get better, you always have to fortify yourself with supplements that stimulate the body. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm here today to tell you that missing supplement is vitamin U. Vitamin U. Yes, you. You are the missing ingredient in the antidote to fix this society. All you brave people who care about the direction of our society and our country. All of you people, and this is probably the only time I have to say you people, all of you people that are brave and actually care about the betterment of our children and the ability to provide for your families and to provide, and your neighbors to provide for their families. You are the missing ingredient, the missing supplement that can fortify and strengthen our communities. Vitamin U is essential to cultivating a healthy community where everyone has the opportunity to not just survive, but thrive. Vitamin U is necessary, it's essential in order to bring us to where we want to go and to be who we want to be. Now, I know some of you will say, well, yeah, if you just vote. But I'm here today, ladies and gentlemen, to tell you voting alone is not enough. What we need today is called civic engagement. And civic engagement, voting is just a part of that. Civic engagement is about being engaged in what's happening in our neighborhoods. It's about attending city council meetings and meeting and talking with your city council members and school board members, because it's relationships that change hearts and minds. It's about community engagement and community patrol of communities, not just police officers in their cars, but actually talking with people so they can see the humanity in both the community member and the community member seeing that this is more than just a person with a gun. To do that, you have to come out of your shell. You have to get uncomfortable. It takes hard work, and it's difficult work, and there is no guarantee that you're going to slip, fall, or get sick again. But the only way you're going to get better is if you get involved. You are needed in this fight called the fight for the soul of America. You can't just sit on the sidelines. You have to get into this game called life, because either you're a player or you're a pawn. Now, some of you might be saying, is he talking to me? Yes, I'm talking to you. And you, and you, and you, and you, and you. Because each of us has something different to offer. You have vitamin U1, vitamin U2, vitamin U3, vitamin U66,000, because there are 66,000 people in Ames. Each and every one of you has something different to offer to your community. Everyone brings something different to the table, because as we all noted earlier, every one of us has a different talent, ability, need, want, and desire. And all of those things can bring about the crafting of this community into the place that we want it to be. And eventually, all those yous transform to us, because you cannot do this work alone. The antidote is called us, because the only ones who can save us is us. And just in case you didn't know, in case you might be religious, James 2:16 says, faith without works is what? Dead. And just in case you might be secular, Mariah Carey says the hero lies in you. So we have to put in the work. Every one of us has a role to play, both individually and as institutions. Institutions such as the NAACP, institutions such as the Iowa State University, institutions such as Hy-Vee, institutions such as religious institutions, the Ames Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The antidote to creating a healthy society is all of us constantly educating ourselves and embracing truth, even when it's uncomfortable. The antidote is us being willing to get out of our comfort zones, engaging with our neighbors, having dialogues within our community, including people who think differently from us, to build a better understanding of what they're going through and what we're going through, even if we don't agree on everything. We have to have dialogue with our brothers and sisters in the community. We have to attend city council meetings. We have to go to county council meetings, and we have to go to neighborhood association meetings. No, you won't be able to make it to every meeting. I'm not asking that. But I'm asking you to be committed. Committed to you being part of the change called us. We have to counteract the negativity that is slowly eating at our society. And our society won't crumble tomorrow, but it will happen over time if we don't make the necessary changes and fortify our communities with you today. Our grand business is not doing what lies dimly at a distance, but to do what lies clearly at hand. And these are the signs of the times. If you're on Twitter, you can hear talks about civil war and ideology and et cetera. What clearly lies at hand is for us to engage with one another and to create the future that we all desire, where all of us can move up the socioeconomic ladder. Because the future cannot be predicted. We always, Nostradamus and that Jamaican lady, I forget her name. Call me now for your free reading. It can't be predicted. But the future can be, Miss Cleo, that's it. The future can't be predicted, but it can be invented. Every moment that we're breathing, we invent the future with our choices and with our actions. And every action we take is the history we are writing for our future. people can determine their future and invent their future if they understand what's going on. And it's going to take a lot more good people trying to make things better before we see real changes in our communities and in our society. Because as the theme of this event says, our mission continues to that road called progress. And there's never going to be an actual point. We have to keep moving down that road. Because when the economic disparities continue to widen, the mission continues, and we need you. When COVID-19 has revealed the cracks in our systems in regards to housing and employment and who is an essential worker and why an essential worker can't get a living wage, our mission continues, and we need you. When there are questions about education, and when I went to school and I learned that Black Lives Matter doesn't say only Black Lives Matter, and for some reason we debate that. The mission continues, and we need you. When there are questions about voter suppression and suppressing voter rights, and when rural communities are people are leaving and the communities are suffering, hospitals are leaving, and sick people and people can't get health care and have to wait and drive 60 miles away to get the things they need, the mission continues, and we need you. So my question to you is, are you up for the task? Are you willing to put in the work? And are you willing to dedicate yourself to a cause bigger than yourself, working collectively with others as we work to create a better future? Well, if you are, then join us as we do the work to make this community the place that it needs to be, where everyone has the ability to thrive and grow and be whomever they desire to be. Because in order for society to get better, healthier, and stronger, we need you and we need us to work together. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you so much for that message. And we hear it